தெளிவு குருவின் திருமேனி கண்டல் தெளிவு குருவின் திருநாமம் செப்பல் தெளிவு குருவின் திருவார்த்தை கேட்டல் தெளிவு குரு குரு சிந்தித்தல் தானே தெளிவு குரு குரு சிந்தித்தல் தானே.
Greetings to all. Welcome you all to know our Guru series on Sri Ramana MahaRishi. Birth. It was Arudra Darshan festival being celebrated at Tiruchuri in Tamil Nadu on December 29, 1879. The decorated icon of Lord Shiva was ceremoniously carried in procession through the streets during the day and late into the night. Just as the deity re-entered the temple past midnight on December 30th at 1 a.m., the first cry of a baby boy was heard in a house adjacent to the temple. The fortunate parents were Sundaram Iyer and his wife Alagammal. The newborn child received the name Venkatraman and was later known as Bhagavan Sri Ramana MahaRishi. As the child was being born, a lady with poor eyesight exclaimed that the newborn was enveloped in light. Early life. Venkatraman's early childhood was quite normal. He joined others of his age in fun and frolic. When Venkatraman was about 6 years old, he made boats out of his old legal papers belonging to his father and floated them in water. When his father reprimanded him, the boy left home. After a long search, the priest of the local temple found the boy hiding behind the statue of the Divine Mother. Venkatraman completed elementary school in Tiruchuri and moved on to Dindigul for further schooling. In February 1892, his father died and the family was broken up. Venkatraman and his elder brother went to live with their paternal uncle Subbayar in Madurai, while the two young children would remain with the mother. Sometime later, he read for the first time Periya Puranam, the life stories of the 63 Saiva saints, also called the Nine Mars. He was overwhelmed with ecstatic wonder that such love, faith, and divine fervor was even possible. The tales of renunciation leading to divine union thrilled him with blissful gratitude and a wish to emulate the saints. From this time on, a current of awareness began to awaken him. As he said with his characteristic simplicity, "At first I thought it was some kind of a fever, but I decided if it was so pleasant fever, so let it stay." Awakening. The turning point in Venkatraman's life came spontaneously in mid-July 1896. In one afternoon, the youth, for no apparent reason, was overwhelmed by a sudden and violent fear of death. Years later, he narrated this experience as follows. I was something real, the real only thing about my present state, and all the conscious activity connected with my body was centered on that I. From that moment onwards, the I or self focused attention on itself by a powerful fascination. Fear of death vanished once for all. Absorption in the self continued unbroken from that time on. Other thoughts might come and go like the various notes of music, but the I continued, like the fundamental Sruti note that underlies and blends with all the other notes. The effect of the awakening brought about a complete change in Venkatraman's interest and outlook. This spiritual journey. On August 29th, while working on a grammar assignment, Venkatraman suddenly realized the futility of it all, pushed the papers away, and sitting cross-legged, entered into deep meditation. His brother Nagaswami, who was observing him, remarked caustically, "What use is all this to such a one?" Recognizing the truth of his brother's criticism, Venkatraman resolved to secretly leave the home. He got up and left the house, making the excuse that he had to return to school. His brother would give him 5 rupees to pay his college fees, thus unknowingly providing funds for the spiritual journey. Venkatraman kept 3 rupees and left the remaining 2 rupees. It was the morning of September 1st, 1896, 3 days after leaving home, that Venkatraman arrived at Tiruvannamalai station with quick steps, his heart throbbing with joy. He hastened straight to the great temple. In mute sign of welcome, the gates of the 3 high compound walls and all the doors, even that of the inner shrine, stood open. There was no one else inside. So he entered the sanctum sanctorium, the inner shrine, alone, and stood overwhelmed before his father Arunachala. "I have come at your call, Lord. Accept me and do with me as you will." Think Tiruvannamalai, get liberation. Sri Ramana MahaRishi stayed at various places in Tiruvannamalai and then in several caves on the Arunachala hill until he finally settled at what came to be called now as Sri Ramanashramam, where he lived until his Mahanirvana in April 1950. He never took formal sannyasa, nor did he claim to have any disciples. From the day he arrived in 1896 till his Mahanirvana, Ramana never left his beloved Arunachala. The first place Ramana stayed in Tiruvannamalai was the great temple. For a few weeks, he remained in the 1,000-pillared hall. But he was soon troubled by the urchins, who pelted him with stones as he sat silently. He shifted to an underground vault known as Patala Lingam, where the sunlight never penetrated. Without moving, he sat deeply motionless, absorbed in the self, and was unaware of being bitten by the ants and vermins living there. But the mischievous boy soon discovered his retreat and indulged in that pastime of throwing stones at the young Brahmana Swami, as Ramana was called then. At that time in Tiruvannamalai, there lived a renowned Swami called Seshadri Swamigal, who sometimes stood guard over Ramana and drove away the urchins. The youth was so absorbed in the effulgence of bliss that he didn't even realize when some devotees finally came, lifted him out of the pit Patala Linga and brought him to the nearby Subramanya shrine. Ramana and MahaPeriyavaa. The two sages were contemporaries, and yet they never met each other. But this is only the perception of the general public. The sages have their own means and ways of contact and communication. Without even seeing him, MahaPeriyavaa had known Sri Ramana MahaRishi very well. This is evident from the suggestion he gave when Paul Brenton came to him. Paul Brenton, a philosopher, a journalist from Britain, was in search of spiritual knowledge, the quest that brought him to India and to the holy land of Kanchi. After prostrating at the feet of MahaPeriyavaa, Paul Brenton said he was in search of a guru who could lead him to the knowledge of eternal truth. Paramacharya advised him to see Bhagavan Ramana MahaRishi at Thiruvannamalai. It is evident that MahaPeriyavaa, the Paramacharya, has known Bhagavan as an embodiment of jnana, who alone could quench the spiritual thirst of the wisdom seeker. Discovery by Westerners. Paul Brenton, having first visited Ramana MahaRishi in January 1931, published the book A Search in Secret India. In this book, he described how he was compelled by the Paramacharya to meet Ramana MahaRishi, his meeting with Ramana MahaRishi, and the effect this meeting had on him. While staying at Sri Ramanashramam, Brenton had an experience of a sublimely all-embracing awareness, a moment of illumination. His book was a bestseller and introduced Bhagavan Ramana MahaRishi to a wider audience in the West. The resulting visitors included Paramahansa Yogananda, Somerset Maugham, whose 1944 novel The Razor's Edge models its spiritual guru after Ramana MahaRishi, Mercedes de Acosta and Arthur Osborne, the last of whom was the first editor of The Mountain Path in 1964, the magazine published by Ramanashramam. Final years. In November 1948, a tiny cancerous lump was found in Ramana MahaRishi's arm and was removed in February 1949 by the ashram's doctor. Soon another growth and another operation was performed by an eminent surgeon in March 1949 with radium applied. Third and fourth operations were subsequently performed in August and December 1949. The doctors were stunned when they could perform the painful cancer operation without even giving anesthesia to Bhagavan Sri Ramana MahaRishi. Such was his jnana and control. Finally, Bhagavan attained Samadhi on 14th April 1950 at 8:47 p.m. Teachings. Considered his own guru to be in the form of sacred mountain Arunachala. He did not publicize himself as a guru. He never claimed to have any disciples and never appointed any successors. He encouraged study of Ashtavagra Gita, Yoga Vasishta, Tripura Rakashya, Kaivalya Navanitam and Ellam Ondre. His path of knowledge was Jnana Marga. Bhagavan Sri Ramana MahaRishi was and is regarded by many as an outstanding, enlightened being. He was a charismatic person and attracted many devotees, some of whom saw him as an avatar and an embodiment of Lord Shiva. I want to stress here, our great gurus like Ramana, who lived many purposeful years and enlightenment to us. It is our earnest request, and the purpose of this series would be for you to go and look out for their miracles and teachings which are there in plenty. ఎంతరో మహానుభావులు అంతరికి వంతము.
अरण्येन वा स्वस्य गेहेन कार्ये न देहे मनो वर्तते मे त्वनर्घ्ये मनश्चेन्न लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं ततः किम्.